You're listening to Fashion Confab, where we have conversations with the icons and trailblazers of the fashion industry. Listen in to be informed and inspired as we profile the most influential people in fashion today.
Thank you, Fashion Confab listeners, for joining us today. We have an amazing fashion designer on the line. Her name is Chloe DAO. She is the winner of Season 2 of Project Runway. You might know her from that. So I'm excited to talk to her. But first, let me give you a brief introduction about her journey and what she's doing today. Fashion designer Chloe DAO put Houston on the map after her win on Project Runway, Season 2. She is known for her sophisticated style with sense of ease. Chloe's warm southern charm and playful spirit is apparent in every collection, as well as her boutique, which celebrates its 15th anniversary this year. Her DAO Chloe DAO collection is proudly made in Houston. As a leader in the fashion community, Chloe serves as the advisory board for Houston Community College, University of Houston, and the Art Institute of Houston. Her community service extends beyond fashion. She supports several nonprofit organizations such as Dress for Success, Community Cloth, Girls Inc., and Think Pink. Well, welcome to Fashion Confab, Chloe. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
I am so excited to talk to you, and I'm sure our listeners are excited to hear about your journey and sort of what you're doing today. So tell us a little bit about your background. We know a little bit from what we saw in Project Runway, but tell us a little bit from your perspective about, sort of how you got started in this whole fashion industry.
I actually was inspired to be in the fashion industry by watching Elsa Clinch on CNN in the early 80s. And the movie Dead Poet Society actually really kind of kickstart my career in fashion. I watched the movie and I actually dropped out of UVic and went to New York City for a weekend, and I decided not to go back home. I actually found an apartment in 1 week and ended up living in New York for 8 years. I got my degree from FIT in pattern making, and I worked in industry for 8 years in New York. I've been a pattern maker, designer, buyer, showroom girl, sales girls, whatever you can imagine in the fashion field, I have pretty much done.
Wow. That's inspiring, I think, for a lot of people, because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that are working in entry-level positions and just sort of don't know where, it's going to take them. But from your experience, it's worth it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it's, I was very strategic in my way of going towards fashion. I definitely wanted to experience every aspect of the business, and I always knew my end goal was to have my own business, and I always thought, when you have your own business, you have to know how to do almost everything or have a basic understanding of what it takes. So that's why, I went towards the pattern making degree instead of the fashion design degree, and I think it's important to have both, but I really want to understand fit and production. Designing, I think, you have a natural talent or you don't, but I think you can be taught, but I think it's much easier when you have a natural talent. And then I wanted to see what it is to be a buyer, how it takes to be a salesperson. So I took jobs in every aspect. So I really understand how the industry works. So I worked with higher price point, selling to Bergdorf Goodman, Saks and Neiman's with the company I work in New York, and then I work with contemporary brands that we sell to, private label limited, Bloomingdale's, Saks, and maybe I think even, maybe even Target private label. I can't remember. I don't think they did that price point. But it's good to definitely dabble in different price point so you understand how this industry works.
So getting on Project Runway, was that really competitive, and how did it feel? What was the process of getting on the show?
Well, it was season 2, so it's early on. So, for me, I just woke up, made a dress that morning, so I can say I made it that quick. I actually was already in business for 4 years. I had on my own boutiques for 4 years already before I tried out for Project Runway, and 8 years in the fashion industry in New York City. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely competitive. I think those days it's actually more competitive because before, I think season 1 and 2 were the only few seasons where there actually was an L editor that you have to go through first. And if she likes your work, then you get to see Tim Gunn and the other judges. Season 3, when I actually did the tryout, actually I was one of the judges for, to see who could pass or not. There was not an L editor, I think. So I think 1 or 2 was definitely harder because you actually had an editor eye looking at your collection before you can even see, the panel of judges.
Right. So I'm sure there's a lot of pressure just being, when you were on the show, competing with other fashion designers. Or did you feel pressured, or were you sort of
I don't think, I'm actually, I think I came from a very different perspective, working in the industry for 8 years and then having my business for 4 years already, so that's like 12 years of working in the fashion industry. The show, Project Runway is definitely high pressure. You have to understand who you are as a designer, as a person. You have to be well-spoken. You have to be able to defend yourself. But I don't know, it's pressure. I mean, in a way, it was just like a nice fashion camp because you only have to do is design and defend. You don't have to worry about the bills. You don't have to worry about when to eat. You don't have to worry about anything. Your whole life is to design a dress in 2 days or in 1 day. In a weird way, it's a vacation. In a way, it's totally not.
I get it. So since Project Runway, I know you were the winner. So what did you do? Did you expand? And I know that you're doing a lot of stuff, like you've got your QVC collection that you've been doing for 3 years. Was that a result of Project Runway and your winnings from that?
Most definitely. I actually did QVC for 3 years, but that's so I don't no longer do that anymore. But that's actually a big deal to be on QVC for 3 years because when I was on there, I saw how many people just did one show, and that was pretty much the end of it. So to be on QVC for 3 years was a big, big, big honor in my opinion.
You're listening to Fashion Confab.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did actually a line of also laptop cases, cell phone cases, luggages, and I was in stables, 1,200 stables around the United States, even in Canada, DAO.com. I mean, and then I was the Dove spokesperson for the Dove Ultimate Clear deodorant. Yeah, all that is definitely a product of Project Runway and being the winner. And, it definitely wouldn't have happened from it. But, I mean, it's great, and there's so many things that I've been given opportunity because of Project Runway 2 years ago, I think. I went down to Vietnam. I was the co-executive producer and judge on the first ever Project Runway Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
And I'm still definitely getting different kind of opportunity that comes my way because of the show. It's a never-ending reward. I think that's what I see as Project Runway. It keeps on going. It's like the energizing rabbit. It never stops.
So what are the future plans? Like, what's in the future for you?
The future is definitely, I have my business now, my boutique in here in Houston, Texas for 15 years. And the future really is I actually really want to expand on my social media. I'm going to do a YouTube channel and really inspired, women to dress better, educate them, keep them entertained at the same time, but also try to, let people see my world a little bit more, educating the young designers to what they do. There's, I think, a lot of fashion information out there, but you kind of don't know where to look if you're not in the industry. And really just honestly trying to grow my social media platform and grow the online business because I think that's the way to go in the future. And just kind of share myself a little bit more and share my knowledge. I've been in the business now for 23 years. A business owner for 15, and, fashion industry for 23 years. So there's a lot that I definitely want to share.
So are you getting involved with maybe becoming a professor in a college or something to share more information with young designers? How are you doing that?
Oh, I would love to, but I don't have the time. Actually, I mentor a lot. I actually have a few mentees that I do on my own personal time. I'm actually one of the mentors for Remy Martin's Centaurs program. It's actually in 3 different cities in the United States, New York, LA, and I think Detroit and Houston, so 4 cities. And so Remy Martin sponsor 3 different mentee each city, and then we pick actually sponsor a mentor, and we pick a mentee, and then we actually get some funding to donate to our charity. So it's actually a really great program. So I do that with Remy Martin, and then I do that with just all the design students that I know here from Houston Community College and the Art Institute.
Well, that's great. We need that. We need more people that are giving back that way.
Oh, yeah. Houston actually is great. We actually give back a lot. And this is one of the most philanthropic cities that I've ever been to. There's a charity event, like 5 charity events every night.
Wow. I was going to ask you about being from Houston. I know that you mentioned that a lot in all the press that I read about you. So how was it growing up there? Or is the fashion scene changing because of people like you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, when I grew up here, it was definitely not, that fashion-oriented. I'm sure it is, but, I wasn't aware of it. But in 2000, and probably 1998 to 2000, there was actually a really big fashion boom. A boom here. They were actually getting a lot of press for stores in Vogue and Elle, like Mix and Katia, and Mix no longer exists, but it was like the mini Barneys in Houston. So for them to get that much, national big press in fashion magazine, I realized that there was definitely a growing fashion scene here. So I researched that for 2 years from New York when I was working there and living there until I decided to move back in 2000 because I knew it slowly was changing, and now that I've been back for 15 years, it's totally exploded. There is so many local amazing design talent here. There's so many boutiques here, small business-owned boutiques like myself. There's definitely tons of clients. Our retail market is amazing. There's, shopping centers opening everywhere. Our economics, it's probably one of the best. We're actually the biggest, fastest growing city in the United States, I think, we're the most diverse. We have 181 spoken language here in the United States. We're actually the most diverse city in the United States.
Wow. I think you and Beyonce put Houston on the map. Like everybody.
Thank you. I think Beyonce. I don't think I did anything. I think Beyonce did. I am nowhere near Beyonce. But thank you.
We've gotten a lot of good information about you and what you're doing now and in the future. So is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners today about what you've got going on?
Sure. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm definitely going to share a lot more for those that are inspiring to be fashion designers, even stylists, anything creative. Definitely follow me because I'm going to slowly do a lot more DIY, a lot more informative things for ladies who love fashion and just want to be beautiful and dress beautiful. I'm definitely doing a lot more style tips and what to wear and what not to wear. Because I actually learned a lot doing QVC for 3 years. Because QVC, you have to design one item. Every design has to work for an extra small up to 3X. And all age range. So definitely made me a better designer. And I actually learned a lot doing that and just speaking of it. So those are definitely the information I definitely want to share more and my knowledge about, just dressing well and making your life easy. That's that's my number one goal, to beautify but make it easy.
That's good to hear. We need more of that for sure. Well, how can we get in touch with you on social media? Is it under your name?
On Facebook, it's just Chloe DAO. On Instagram, it's DAO, Chloe DAO. And on YouTube channel, it's just Chloe DAO.
Okay.
DAO, CHLOEDAO on Instagram.
Got
so
it.
you hashtag Chloe DAO, it'll come up.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it. And good luck to you and everything that you're working on.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
You're listening to Fashion Confab, where we have conversations with the icons and trailblazers of the fashion industry. Listen in to be informed and inspired as we profile the most influential people in fashion today. Motivating, informative, entertaining. You're on trend with Fashion Confab.